All right, peace and blessings, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. Today is Wednesday, May the 9th, the year 2018. I wanted to share a letter with you guys that was sent from the IRS to a friend of mine. But before I do, I want to share some context. When Bryce Matthew Quillar was sent to prison and I found out about it, keep in mind he had a YouTube channel. He had several channels. They've shut down almost all of them but one. We were the first one to write him a letter, and I'll never forget what he wrote back in his response. He wrote back, "Thank you for having a heart that cares." You see, if you care about these men and women in prison, then it bothers you what's happening to them. If you don't care about them and they're just a number to you, then you don't get excited when they destroy families, rip a father away from his children, put somebody in a concrete cage. They're just a number, and if the cops even shoot them, you don't really care. But if you do care and you see them as human beings, as brothers and sisters in the Lord, especially if you think they're innocent and that the federal government has gotten out of control, then it bothers you a great deal. And you say, why are you bringing that up? Well, I wanted to share, if you're going to be standing up for political prisoners, if you're going to stand up and try to help them or support them or send them encouraging letters, whatever the case may be, you better expect a little blowback. And just to share a little bit of my own blowback, I got a letter from the IRS while Lois Lerner was the head of the thing. And I wanted to share some videos with you guys of what Lois Lerner did when she went before Congress. But they sent me a letter saying I owed $25,000 shortly after I came out as a birther, and I was advocating that Barack Obama's birth certificate was a forgery. You guys know this already, but the Secret Service visited my front door. My wife videotaped the whole thing. U.S. Marshals and FBI came together and came to my front door. I don't know what they showed up for. I'm too stupid to be intimidated. When we were at Ken Hoven's trial, an FBI guy tried to pull me aside and said he wanted to interview me, and I said, not unless I can record the whole thing. He said, no, you can't record it. And I said, I don't want to go with you. I'm not going. He didn't have no right to detain me. And then when I had a job before they laid me off for a transvestite, a man dressing up as a woman, putting on lipstick, and anyway, that's a whole nother story. Homeland Security sent in a random citizenship audit and told my job that if you don't show your birth certificate, that we will have to fire you. Do you think that when I say that the IRS is a child of Satan, that I'm exaggerating? Do you actually think that maybe there's some good people in the IRS and overall the IRS is doing what's good for America? Are you that naive to think that? Have you read this book? This book is called To Harass Our People, the IRS and Government Abuse of Power by Congressman George Hansen. Congressman George Hansen. Okay? You need to read the stories of this book and understand the pressure that the IRS puts on people and how they destroy lives. You need to understand how Ed and Elaine Brown have been thrown in prison, what they did to the Montana Freeman. Maybe you would like to look up, can you believe this phone? Hold on. How do I turn off this dang phone? Okay. You need to understand what they did to Doreen Hendrickson, who they threw in prison. So let me just play for you a little bit of Lois Lerner and what she did. Keep in mind that when the IRS comes at you, they constantly put pressure on you to talk. They want you to reveal all your information. But when they get called to the carpet for wrongdoings in their organization, what does Lois Lerner do? Let's look at that.
Ms. Lerner, what exactly wanted to fix the problem caused by Citizen United? What exactly does that mean? Would you please turn the mic on?
My counsel has advised me that I have not waived my constitutional rights under the Fifth Amendment, and on his advice, I will decline to answer any question on the subject matter of this hearing.
So you're not going to...
So when the IRS sends their goons after you with their guns, like they did David Hinkson, like they did Montana Freeman, Russell Landers, like they did Ed and Elaine Brown, like they did Daniel Riley, when the IRS sends their goons after you, you better talk. But when they get called to Congress, they're declining to answer any questions. That's funny. I find that a little funny. Hold on. They got one more, too.
I've been advised by my counsel to assert my constitutional right not to testify or answer questions related to the subject matter of this hearing.
You guys hear that? She did that over and over and over again. Hey, just remind the next person who bothers you from the IRS what Lois Lerner did. Hey, I want to share with you guys something. Hold on just one second. Now, I've voided out the address that's right over here, but this letter was recently sent to someone who I personally know, who I consider a friend, who I know firsthand knowledge has supported political prisoners. And not only with encouraging letters, but they just pray for them, and I can say that this is a very righteous person. I can tell you, but you know them by their fruits, right? And so this is a letter this person got in the mail, and we have sent the letter off to some of our friends who are a little bit more knowledgeable about this than myself, and they think that the letter is legitimate. They think that it's a legitimate letter from the actual IRS. And so let's read this letter. Hopefully you guys can see this. Here we go. Dear Sir or Madam, this letter is to request your assistance in a pending federal tax investigation. You are not the subject of the investigation, and this is not an audit of your personal tax returns. We're contacting you because you may have information relevant to this investigation. It reminds me of what somebody might have sent out to one of Ken Hovind's neighbors. What's the lady that ran a college, and they wanted the lady to snitch on Ken Hovind, and she would get 10% of anything they collected? Did you know that the IRS has a whistleblower reward, and if you turn in your neighbor, you'll get 10% of anything they collect from your neighbor? Did you know that they do that? They actually pay you money to snitch on your neighbor. We're requesting a meeting with you to discuss this matter under Section 7602 of the Internal Revenue Code. Please call 206-946-3293 to schedule an appointment with a revenue agent. Well, who doesn't want to go meet with a revenue agent? That just sounds like a wonderful, happy day. I want to go sit down. Now, if you're Bill Fulton, that might be the cat's meow. That might be a day in heaven. Bill Fulton gets to sit down with a revenue agent and snitch out all his friends. But for normal people, we don't necessarily look forward to going and sitting down with a revenue agent. If there's no answer, leave a message with your contact information and we'll call you back to schedule an appointment. We'll make every effort to accommodate your schedule. If you don't respond by May the 21st, 2018, we'll contact you by telephone or visit you in person at the address noted above. Hey, you know, I've had a few visits to my front door, and like I said, I'm too stupid to be intimidated by these thugs, these Nazi Gestapo IRS thugs. But I think the average person on the street doesn't like it when the IRS said, we'll come visit you in person. Federal law requires us to provide a list of contacts to the subject of the investigation. If you believe including your name on the list may cause any person to harm you or any other person in any way, whether that harm is physical, economic, emotional, or otherwise, call the telephone number by May the 21st, 2018 so we can exclude you from the list. Hey, why don't I suggest that maybe if anybody gets a letter like this, they send this book in to harass our people, the IRS, and government abuse of power, and say the most likely person to harass me and harm me is the IRS itself. I'm concerned that they're going to come at me with 20 SWAT team armed thugs, break down my door and throw me in prison like they did David Hinkson, or like they did Russell Landers, or like they did Ed and Elaine Brown. We'll exclude you from the list. If anybody's going to harm you, we'll exclude you from the list. We won't ask you to explain why you believe there's a risk of reprisal or potential of harm to you or another. Well, isn't that just nice of them? They're being the IRS is being very accommodating. If anybody's threatening to harm you, we won't bother you. Well, how about my concern is that the IRS is going to harm or bother me? We're aware of many identity theft schemes that utilize stolen identities for criminal purposes, and therefore you should not give anyone your Social Security number or any other taxpayer identification number. The IRS knows your identification information, by your tax return filing. They got your number. When we meet, I'll identify myself with my badge. Now, they're going to identify themselves with their badge. What else can you ask for? I mean, they got a badge. If they want to stick a gun in your face or visit your house or ask you a bunch of questions, they got a badge. That makes it okay. We'll identify myself with a badge. Who's that IRS guy that went after Ken Hovind? I can't remember his name right now. Let's see if we can find that real quick. Just 1 second. IRS Agent Kent Hovind. You guys help me out here. It's something. I know I did a bunch of videos on him. Is it Scott Snyder? Is that it? I think it's Scott Snyder. Let's see if we can find a... Let's see if we can find a picture of him. I think I got a picture of IRS Agent Scott Snyder. That's him right there. I just found it. I got a picture of him.
All right.
Hold on. Anyway, you guys see that? There's Scott Snyder right there. And he was obsessed with Ken Hovind. And then I said that he reminded me of that Javert guy in Les Miserables. I know I'm not pronouncing the name right, but this guy committed suicide because he realized that he'd spent his whole life going after an innocent man. And he reminded me a lot of Special Agent Scott Snyder. Hey, who wouldn't want to spend the day sitting down talking with Scott Snyder, ratting out your friends? That's good. Anyway, here's another article. Lois Lerner pleads the fifth again, doesn't testify on our IRS targeting. Where we at? Okay. We're aware of many identity theft schemes that utilize stolen identities for criminal purposes, and therefore you should not give your... Okay, I already read all that. When we meet, I'll identify myself with my badge, so you can be assured you're talking to the real IRS employee and not someone trying to steal your identity. We may need to ensure your identity, however. You should never volunteer your information to us or anyone else until you've received proper identification. For more information on protecting yourself against identity, visit usa.gov identity-theft. Thank you for your cooperation in this matter, and it's signed by William, the IRS agent. Hey, why don't we just, tell William we're following the lead of the IRS director, Lois Lerner, and we're going to plead the fifth. We ain't going to talk to anybody for no reason whatsoever. Anyway, that's the letter. I'm told by people that I respect that it probably is legitimate. What do you guys have to say about this? What do you guys have to say about the IRS sending out letters like this? And if you have any comments, I think not only myself but others might be interested in your opinion. Please pray for the individual who received this letter, and may the Lord give us all strength and courage to go forward, because the enemy, they got no morality at all. They got no morality. They don't mind sticking us in prison. They don't mind targeting us. They can lie to us. They can break the law all they want to. But if they catch us in any sort of little problem that they perceive as a problem, they'll throw you in jail in a heartbeat. And so there's a book that I highly recommend. It's called You Have the Right to Maintain Your Innocence. And it talks about 199 reasons why you should never talk to the police. But you guys have a great day. Leave your comments in the comment section. And all glory to Jesus Christ.